All right, good afternoon, everybody. So, the Synchro Festival. As you guys know, you can only use Synchro-based decks for the extra deck. Of course, if you want to do your anti-meta strategies, you can use them. I would not suggest that, just because of how poorly the results were for the decks that I faced. Now, I already had a Synchro deck made because I had my Adamancipator build. I didn't have to do too many tweaks. And so I decided this is what I would go with. So if you take a look here, I do think this ratio that I have here is the best one for what I was trying to do. So it's a 40 card build, the Doki Doki at 2, and then of course your key Adamancipators, the Seeker, Analyzer, and Researcher all at 3. This card was so clutch for me during this event, Tackle Crusader. If I ran into anti-meta stuff, this was my saving grace. So that was definitely really good for me. Really enjoyed the kaijus for the event. I only needed 3, believe it or not. I thought about possibly moving Block Dragon to 2, but I decided that it was probably better just to keep it at 1. I don't want it to be a brick situation for me. So keeping it at the 1 worked just fine. And this card was the home run card also. Quite a bit during the event. Then I also had 2 signs, 1 friends. The lightning storms were huge against anti-meta strategies. Pot of Avarice is just so much fun when you can actually pull it off. And of course the Harpy's Feather Duster to clean up the back row. Now, Goyo Guardian, oh my gosh, I used this so many different times. If I was facing just different builds, so like for example the True Draco stuff, this got me over any card that was a problem typically. I also enjoyed stealing cards that were powerful cards with this, so it was really fun. Every now and then I would use Leonite here, not very often. These 2 cards though, Raptite and then of course Dragite, were the 2 that I used the most. Did not summon this one time. Infernity, Doom King, Archfiend, but it's a nice negate if I have it. And then if I need to do like a situation where I have to go for game, I can, because it does double damage. This is just to get cards back. Again, never ended up using it, but in case I didn't have resources that I needed, this allows me to get stuff back that's Synchro based. Used Stardust a few times when I knew the deck I was facing involved a lot of destruction, so this did come up. I did not run into anything too anti-meta with face down, so I didn't need the Red Dragon Archfiend, but I liked it just in case I ran into it. This came up several times. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, so good for the burn, everybody. So good. Okay, and then the last one that I really like here. No True Draco. That does not work against me. I mean, it did a few times, but not a whole lot. Okay, and then Baron de Fleur. Oh man, this card, it's such a house. So this was the deck I played. I didn't even max out the extra deck. I really didn't need to. You know me, I'm a budget person even in this game. I don't want to spend any money. So it did very well. I'm going to show you guys some replays, and then I'll also get into my overall record was. I ended up playing 92 games. Yep, that's right, you heard me. 92 different games with this, and I ended up only losing 22 of them. So that's a 76% win percentage that I had with this deck. And I played everything. I'm convinced that I saw the meta. There was nothing that I didn't run into. So I'll show you my first build here. Yeah, that's too funny, Shadow. But here's my first one of my first replays I wanted to share, just because I thought it was a really good match. Now, obviously, this is not the strongest hand, right? I mean, I only have the Seeker, and yeah, you're gonna have that, but I actually found that it was the right ratio. I know that sounds crazy, but based on my play testing, it worked. Now, I really do like having Dragite in the grave there, just because it can give me a negate. Also, in this event, because lightning storms everywhere, you really want your cards in defense when you start. That is extremely important if you're actually going to pull off these wins. So I get the special of Researcher, thankfully the last card. Okay, and then that gives me Guardian, which was really good. And then I just went for Dragite here, which I thought was the right decision. So I've got a spell negate and I have a monster negate. So I thought, because, oh, I forgot to mention in the profile, it's a going blind second deck. Every time I could go second, I chose to go second. It didn't matter who I was playing. So I lived and breathed that the entire time. Okay, so he goes ahead here, goes for the Synchro card, uses Witch's effect. Now, he uses this effect, and I thought, oh, that's good. I can go ahead and chain here. So I use Guardian's effect, thinking that'll be the end of his turn. He's got the Called By, and I'm like, oh, but I have the spell negate. So I go ahead and I use Dragite's effect. And sometimes you just have the card. I mean, so I had the second Called By in the hand. So I was like, oh my gosh, when that ended up happening. I thought, I cannot believe this just occurred. Okay, so he's getting out all his good cards, which is really good, giving him max C. That makes a lot of sense to me. Knowing what I'm playing, that's the best card to have a follow-up for. And I did run into this deck very often. I didn't lose to it very often, though. And that's what I like about Adamancipators. They just grind so well. So, attacks into my Dragite, it dies. Now, I really like that I have Kaijus in the deck for this reason right here. This is not able to be destroyed by a card effect, so the Raigeki is useless. So, I use it now, though, so I can get rid of the card, normal summon the Guardian, get in some free damage. Notice he gained quite a bit off of his red dragon card. Reveal the Tackle Crusader. Now, you might be thinking, why not summon your own Kaiju? Because there's too many times you're going to need that Kaiju. And look at this top deck. A Monster Reborn from him. I mean, that's just so clutch. Goes right back into the red Super Nova Dragon. So good. Okay, so notice that here. Oh, you even asked that to me, Shadow. I just noticed that. Okay, so notice that's where it comes in clutch, right? I get the second one out. He instantly chains the max C, which I agree with. That's what I would do too. Oh, I don't really run hand traps. That's the other thing about my deck. Yeah, I've got the Primal Being. That's it. That's all there is. You know, and so now the normal summon of the Doki Doki, get out the Crusader. Now, I am counting my summons here because I know if I'm playing the Primal Being, so is everyone else. So I start digging. Of course, I get drag. It's really good. It's so nice because it gives you that extra draw, which is so important. And I like that I've got the setup for the next turn now with the Analyzer. Just so good. Yeah, I've ran into dinos. I have beaten them each time. Now, the reason I went for Baron de Flor is because that was my 5th summon. And if he tries to chain the Primal Being, this gives me the opportunity to do a negation. So I thought that was too important not to try. So when he plays the Dark Ruler no more, I'm actually fine with this because that means I take no battle damage. That was absolutely huge. The idea that I'm going to be protected here from any battle damage for the turn is fine with me because, like I said, this deck can absolutely grind. Plus, I had the Primal Being in the hand, which made things so nice as well. Now notice, he's gaining life again. He's almost back up to the 8,000. Okay, then goes right here for the red Rising Dragon. Really effective. Uses Crimson Resonator. That gives him a special of 2. Now, right there is where I changed. Because I thought, oh, I got to bring this bad boy out. So that hits the field. There's the token now. He does have a way to at least get a card back to the hand, which I thought was very good for him. Puts the one face down. So I draw. It's a good draw. I just start with normalizing the Analyzer. You don't want to play the Monster Reborn too quickly. And that's the reason right there. What if I would have used that and then wasted my situation there? So now I use the Monster Reborn. and I go ahead and I target Raptite. I'm going to special summon in an attack position. Max C going off doesn't bother me, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably get a Guardian if I need to. So I go ahead and start using the effect. And I did hit what I wanted. So notice I was able to get Seeker there. So this allows me to keep extending. Okay, so this is my third summon though. And there's the Guardian. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. You know, because I thought, if I don't get that, I'm in serious trouble. Okay. Now, I go ahead and I go here for my second Dragite. Again, I got a monster negate and a spell negate. Okay, but my goal is, if I can, is to kill him. That's the goal here. Okay, notice I hit all 5 rocks. Just so broken. And then I'm able to go in. And right there, I had enough. It was awesome. You know, really great back and forth duel. Absolutely loved it. And as you can see, those are the main cards in my Synchro deck that I used. And the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do here is to really show you guys the variety that I had with the deck. Okay, so next duel. Yeah, and guys, I like these festivals. I'm having more fun doing the festivals than I am the main game. I think there's a blast. Okay, so this is a great hand, because again, my deck is a going second always deck. So I've got the Primal Being here, which is really good. That's unfortunate he didn't hit anything there. The top deck could not have been better. Get in the Harpy's Feather Duster. Okay, go ahead and start using my effects here. Having signs in the hand is so good too, just because that does allow me to have another way to extend. And notice the draw effect of Dragite. There are so many different times it would allow me to go into Block Dragon, or it would just do what it just did there, giving me signs. Lost Wind is a nice idea here, just because it's there's so many extra deck cards being used. So I definitely could see why he wanted to go with that. But I'm not worried about it, because it's not like he can activate it this turn, now that I popped him already. So I get the special summon of Analyzer. Everything's looking good. I get the Guardian, which is definitely good. That was a huge issue if I don't get that. Because I don't want to have too many summons and then have the Primal Beam come out. Now, I do go ahead and just go for Baronne de Fleur here. I go ahead and use the effect. I'm just going to get rid of one. Using signs now. That's really good for me, just having that in defense. Okay, I put a card on top, then I special again. Now, this was really good here. I thought, okay, I can go for game. And if I can O2K in one turn, I'm going to do it. And here's where Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend comes into play, guys. So I go ahead and attack in. I go ahead and attack in again with Archfiend, then Guardian. And now, main phase 2, I use the effect, and I burn him for the 1,000. It's such a good card that I'm shocked more players haven't ran. I haven't ran into a single person that's running it. It just seems odd to me with how you're going to have those late game situations, and you want to make sure that you're ready for them. Okay, next one. Yeah, so I felt bad for that guy. Lightsworns can be very bricky. And it's also very luck-based, I feel. Because I don't care how great you build that deck, there are times it just doesn't work. I've played too many different people that it's like, man, it just isn't working the way that they think it's going to. Okay, so a normal summon of Analyzer, because my opponent made me go first. I don't like to go first, as you guys know. Okay, so he hits me with the Ash, and unfortunately there was nothing that I could do here. So I thought to myself, well, if they OTK me, they OTK me. There's nothing I can actually do about it. So right away I see that it's anti-meta. As soon as I see the Phantasm City, I thought, oh boy, here we go. Oh, you know, Shadow, there is some truth to that, because there's some times where I don't hit my ratio. However, I really do feel that there's a very good opportunity to test that properly to make sure you find the right ratio. Like I said, if I'm winning 76% of my matches, I'm feeling good. Now, right here, guys, this is what I was talking about in the deck profile. Tackle Crusader coming out. I attack in. Use the effect in the grave. The second effect allows me to return a face-up spell. Now, main phase 2, I'm ready to go off here. So I use the Monster Reborn. That's going to allow me to special summon the Analyzer. Now, this was a good play. Canadia flipping face down, but thankfully I had signs. That allows me to get out the Tackle Crusader. That allows me to then have the special summon of Researcher. And after that, I'm off to the races. You know, everything being main phase 2 does not bother me whatsoever. Okay, use the effect of Dragite. So good to get that extra draw. Okay, that's going to go ahead and lead to the special summon of Raptite. The effect of Supplier is going to go off because I had a rock go to the grave. That leads to a special summon, which leads the effect to giving me Guardian. Use Raptite's effect now to go ahead and start digging. I mean, it's a really solid build. And notice, that was a pretty nice board that he had originally. And the Tackle Crusader really ended up making a big difference. Okay, get the special summon of the Doki Doki. Now I can easily go into Baronne de Fleur, which is just so good, this card. I wish I owned it in real life. Okay, use the effect to get that card to go to the grave, and I love when I can hit this card. Look at that. Shuffle all 5 back in, baby. I love it when that happens. Okay, so that gives me a draw of 2. And notice the block dragon. I thought, oh yeah. Hey, what's up, Patrick? I'm just talking about my build here for Adamancipators for the Synchro Festival. And it's a deck I was already super familiar with anyways. What I really like, though, is that I won about 76% of my matches. And so I feel very confident with it. And it's going blind second build, Pat. That's what I really think is very difficult, is that I was able to win that many matches despite it going blind and the format being what it is. So I was pretty happy about that. Notice I bring out the block dragon. Now my rocks are protected basically from destruction. If he wants to destroy this, go ahead. Now, right away he tries the Phantasm City again. And I'm like, nope, no advantage for you, sir. So I go ahead and pop it. Then all he can do is normal summon Megalo Smasher. Yeah, and then it has to end his turn, and everything's looking great for me here. Yep, everything's going into attack position. Use the effect of Baronne de Fleur, and I'm just attacking in. It's just so good. Oh, I just love winning with this deck. Yeah, so everything just going my way there. And again, that's the whole purpose here. I just want to show you guys some of that variety so you can see what kind of decks I was running into. Oh yeah, Adamancipators, Pat, are great. I really have a huge amount of respect for the deck. And with the upcoming ban list, Master Duel has changed so much of my thinking about what's healthy for the format. There's some things we could definitely do different. Now, this was the most popular deck by far that I ran into was Junk Synchron. The second being the Speedroid version. Okay, so there's Garden Rose Maiden. And everything's just going the right way here. But for me, thankfully, I have the Primal Being. And guys, the amount... Now, right here, though, is the problem. That was in summon number 5. That was a smart play. But what ends up being the problem is I definitely would have put it in defense just in case I had the Lightning Storm. Okay, but now, I wasn't sure if I'd even get this far. As soon as I see the Guardian, I know that he's in trouble. Now, this is the hot take that I was telling you about. I can't believe more people are not playing this card. It's too easy to have a rank or a Synchro 6. Now, instantly, I use the effect of Crusader. Supplier's going to chain, and then that's going to flip his card face down because I've got Guardian on the field, so I could just stop his card. So I go ahead and start extending again. But Goyo Guardian, guys, it's so good. I just don't understand why more people aren't playing it. Okay, that gives me a draw of Researcher, which is great. There's the special summon of Researcher. Put a card on top so I'm ready for the next turn. And notice, here it is. So there's the Goyo Guardian. And watch this. I am so happy about this hot take. Look at this. Look at that. I take it. That's right, everybody. I take his Crystal Synchro Dragon. Oh, man. So much fun. And then he tries to get some effects off. That doesn't work. I mean, look at this. Everything just going the right way for me here now. Again, I'm telling you guys, this should definitely be used more. Okay, now, he does go ahead and Dark Ruler me here. I did wonder, is there a way for me to still get the effect off with the Guardian? Because I thought that actually might be possible. Okay, so notice that that leads him to getting a card to the hand. Again, I'm fine with all this. Okay, so he's able to go ahead and make some, gets a Synchro play off here. Now, I wasn't expecting that though. So there's the Colossal Fighter. Very smart play here, because then that's going to get over the Synchro Dragon. And I understand he just wants that bad boy back. Now, I didn't know if Guardian's effect would still work because it hits the grave. So I thought I'd at least try and see. It does not. So he is able to get his card back. But that's fine. So that's in main phase 2 that happens. I'm feeling pretty confident there. Okay, so I go ahead and normal summon my own Guardian. That's why it's so good to use Supplier. It just puts in so much work. He tries to stop the effect from going off. I chain Guardian, which ends up causing the destruction of his card here. It's guys, Guardian just puts in so much work for this deck. Okay, so then I'm able to start extending again. Everything going my way. Oh yeah, you know, Shadow, that's interesting that you say remote duels. We do have people who do those in our Discord. They just don't do them very often because of cheating that they've had. But notice my opponent at that point was like, okay, there's nothing left that I can do. And so they go ahead and they surrender. So yeah, I mean, you know, definitely fun. I think that was the last of the replays. Just double checking. Yeah. Okay, and this will be our last one. And so I hope that gives you guys... Oh yeah, I tell you, Pat, I just don't understand why more people aren't running that. Because in the True Draco match, that was clutch for me. Because I can still activate cards that are in the hand. And so there are so many different times where my opponent, they'd have their True Draco card out, and usually a 24, you know, defense body or 25 attack body is good. But what would end up happening, they'd also have skill drain out, and then I would special summon my Researcher because I just need a rock, go into Goyo, and then I have a 2800 attack body, and I would just tack over all their stuff. It was wonderful. And then I'd find ways to clear the back row. It was so useful. Okay, so that gives me the special summon. And again, my opponent's making me go first. Now, I did have a mistake here. The Raptite should have been in defense. Anytime you're going first because of this wonderful card right here, the Lightning Storm, you want to make sure that's the case. Now, I did put purposefully the Baron de Fleur in attack, and the reason being, it's 2400 as a body defense-wise. There's just too many cards that could easily get over it, and I didn't want that to happen. So right away, I see Pot of Desires, and I think, okay, I'm going to stop that. And then, oh no, they've got the Forbidden Droplet for me. I thought, oh, that is not good. So that stops everything there. I thought, dang it. So, and then I see that the player's playing Ancient Warriors. Now, I am very familiar with this deck. It's a very competent deck for sure. And notice that he disassembles my board here, attacks in, no problem. And it's looking dire. I mean, look at that. I'm down to 27 at this point. Not a good place for me to be. So, could not have been a better top deck. I like that the Max C happened right away. So I go ahead and use the Lightning Storm. Clean up all the cards that are there. Normal Summon Guardian. Then I go ahead and use Researcher's Effect. Now, this was a good tech. So, it uses the Called by the Grave. That's going to banish the Researcher I already had in there. So now the effect cannot go off. However, I have Signs. That's why I love this card. Okay, so that's Specials Risen Raptite, or Risen Raptite, and then that allows me to go ahead and start extending some more. Everything just going the right way now. So again, I know what he's playing, and I also know that I'm giving him a ton of cards. So for me at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I have to find a way to kill in this turn. If I don't find a way to do that, I'm probably going to lose the duel. So I go ahead, use the effect, gives me another Lightning Storm, always good to have. But being as low as I am with 2,700, again, that's the priority. And I see that I've got game. And again, guys, I don't see enough people playing Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. It's too good. So I attack in for the 3, the 19, and then I didn't get to do it, but I would have attacked in for the 3 again. He would have had 100 life points left, but that's okay. I would have used Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend to burn for the game. Because every card you destroy, they take that's monsters, you take 500 damage. So yeah, it's a fantastic build for sure. One that I'm going to show you guys more detailed of what my match breakdowns were, just so that you guys can have a better analysis of that. Okay, so as you can see here, I want to walk you through the first part of the matches. And so the first deck, or one of the first matches I had in my first 20, was against Red Dragon Archfiend. Really wasn't a problem. It doesn't have the powerhouse cards. This was the second best deck that I faced, was that one. But again, if I were able to get out the Primal Being, I didn't have any problem against it. And then this was the second deck that I faced with the Cosmic Blazer. But usually I had a way that I could get around it. Now, Ancient Warriors was definitely a deck that could compete, especially if it got going. True Draco, I faced this constantly. I did not lose to it very often. I'm surprised how many people are actually playing it. This was interesting too, where you just attack with everything, but again, with Adamancipators, there's way too much that you can deal with it. So it wasn't that big of a problem. Again, the Cosmic Blazer deck again, it's really good, especially if you get 3 or 4 negates out. It's very difficult to compete against. There were several burn decks like the one you just saw there, but really wasn't too much of an issue. Again, True Draco. The big thing that you want to hit with that deck is blowing up the back row. You do that and the deck can't play. That's why the Lightning Storms are so important. Again, Red Dragon Archfiend. It's a very competent deck, but it's usually not that difficult for me when I'm going against it. Now, the Phantasm deck, the Phantasm City, it can work if they get the skill drain off, because then there's just so much advantage with the tokens and then the interaction with the traps. So that can definitely be very difficult to combat when you do run into it. Virtual World was very good in this format. If you get the trap going and you have a negation, very difficult to get around. You have to have the right hand to end up competing against that. And I was very fortunate that in most of these instances, I either had the Primal Being or I just had the right response when I was going against these decks. With the next one here, now this one was actually really funny. I fell asleep. So his turn took so long. I ended up falling asleep and I was like, whoops. This Megalith deck was actually really a good one to face. It was an Adamancipator build, and so I definitely enjoyed going against it. I thought it was pretty competent, and we had a pretty good match there, but again, I was really fortunate to be able to take it. Gravekeepers was not a big issue. I like the guy's thinking, you know, because he's probably assuming there's going to be a lot of back row hate that you're going against. But yeah, you know, again, Adamancipators are just so good at grinding that kind of deck. And so the first set of 20, I won 17 out of 20. So I was very pleased about that. So here's the next set. And as you can see, it went really well. I actually only had one game that I ended up punting here. Other than that, I was pretty pleased with how it turned out. But notice similar decks. So as you can see, I definitely faced the meta. I was surprised to see a Pendulum player. That wasn't too bad once I get out the Primal Being against him, or if I even have Barone or even Dragite because of the spell negation. Now, the mirror matches were really interesting. I did win quite a few of them. In fact, I think with my build, I won more than I lost. So that was really good to see that. The Zombie World build there, I didn't have too many issues with. I was really surprised, honestly, how well it went because zombie control is pretty good. I really thought I would see more Blackwing players too, but I didn't. I really would have been interested to see what that would have been like to go against a super competent Blackwing deck. Ursarik, I was very surprised to see. I thought, oh, that's just not what I was expecting. Now, Wind Witch control, that came up often too. And so I was very surprised how well I had of a time against that. It didn't go too badly for me. This one I punted, so I was pretty upset with myself. Had I summoned a card in attack position, I would have taken that one, but lost by 400. So I was a little upset with myself, so that was definitely a punted game. This one against the virtual world, once they get the proper field set up, it's really difficult to combat that, even if you have different ways to extend. Here's another Adamancipator build. That one I legitimately lost to. I didn't have a way to break the board that person ended up, and he was playing a pretty good side deck, I thought, or not side deck, but extra deck there too, I thought. Okay, so as you can see here, another Adamancipator build. They had Block Dragon at 3, and at one point the decks or the duel slowed down. So I'm assuming it might have been a brick at some point, maybe. So that was definitely a possibility. And then as you can see with this one, just same old, same old. I mean, I really did see the Junk Synchron deck, Stardust deck quite a bit. I mean, it was popping up everywhere, and I thought to myself, man, I'm surprised how much success I'm having against this with a Going Blind second. Now again, Speedroid, I think, is the second best deck. I really do think Adamancipators, based on what I've seen, are better. But based on what I was looking at, I think that's the second best one because they still have a way, and there it is again, they still have a way to extend past the Primal Being, which I think is awesome, which led to my loss there. I actually got it out and I was able to get around it. Again, that True Draco deck, I mean, Jiminy Christmas, I think I won maybe 80% of my matches against that, if not more. So I'm surprised just how much people were playing it, if that makes sense. Now, this next set of rounds that I had, so my first 40 matches, as you can see, very little losses. And then I ran into the middle part of my set here, and I was like, oh man, this was a rough stretch because I just wasn't winning like I had been. This time, there was no stopping this person once they got the right field with the Cosmic Blazer. It's just such a good card. This Virtual World build, I was very pleased that I did so well against that. I thought, okay, definitely moving in the right direction. Again, another win against Virtual World. And if I were doing a tier list, guys, I would easily say Adamancipators. Then I would say the Speedroid Synchro deck. And then I would say Virtual World. I think those were the top 3 decks of the meta, just based on how I did against those decks. So I started to have a losing streak. And so when I saw that there were some better Junk Synchron decks out there, and some of these I really didn't have the best hands to be doing a blind going second deck.
Notice another Adamancipator build. That was a very good match that we had, but I just couldn't get past the negations that they had. But oh, and this one again, another Time Lord one. I'm surprised by some of these burn strategies. And notice everything is done in Platinum League, so all of the decks were from other Platinum League players. Notice again, the True Draco. It's just, yeah. I mean, that time I did lose, but what was interesting about that loss was I actually started to try and change things up. And the changing of things up was taking out the lightning storms, and I tried putting in more kaijus. Huge mistake because of that situation. I thought to myself, okay, this is not working the way I want it to. And so I thought, I'm going to give it a few more games, see how it goes. I did end up getting back on the win train, which I was very pleased with. That was an interesting build too. When I looked at that one, I thought, really, frames like that, it's funky to say the least. That was a terrific match, me and this guy's match. It was really good. That's probably a replay I should have saved. It came down to 100 life points. It was very fun. Again, True Draco. I mean, how many times or is that deck going to lose to me? So notice I've only lost one time to the True Draco build that everyone in this format is trying to play. And I don't understand why, with it being a Synchro event. So notice this set, the Junk Synchron deck, actually ended up putting in way more work than it had been earlier. And part of that could be what people were trying to do in terms of adjustments to understanding the meta better. I do have a big shout out to that Fabled player. That's a really fun deck if you can get it going. But all it takes is one Primal Being, and everything just goes downhill from there. So now, if you notice this one, I get right back on track. 20 games, I only lose 4. Again, True Draco. Don't understand why people are running it with how much it loses. Again, the Speedroid deck. Again, without a doubt, to me, the second best deck of the format. And then again, because of my record, okay, so notice I do lose to it here. And once they get 2 or 3 really good cards out onto the field, sometimes that's all they need. Those cards are a definite house. Same thing with the Junk Synchron deck, which to me is the 4th best deck in the meta for sure, based on the experiences that I had with it. And then again, this Frame Snow deck, it was good. It actually put in some work against me. And then I think there were some other cards there too that I didn't get a chance to look at. You'll definitely want to check that out again. It was very effective having Snow. Oh, it was Wind Witch. That was crazy. Tunes in this format, I don't see it happening. I mean, I just thought, you've got to be kidding me here. Virtual World again. And those are really interesting matches, because if I can force the negations out, I usually end up doing pretty well with those. Wind Witch again, but notice I get the win that time. And honestly, I didn't have a losing record to any deck in the format. So in the Mirror, I still beat the Mirror if they're playing Adamancipators. If they're playing the Phantasm City, I won the majority of those matches, despite how crazy that deck can be once it gets going. The Speedroid, which a really competent deck, it can get through so many different situations, but again, I just seem to have the answer. I'm surprised I didn't see more Zombie World Shiru control. I thought I would have ran into that more. And again, this has got to go. That that deck, it's just not very good in this format. Notice again, 1 loss to True Draco so far, and again against all these other decks, again winning records, as you can see. Weather Painters was interesting. I thought that was an interesting idea if you're going to go anti-meta, but it just didn't end up working out the way that I think that person wanted it to. Now, the Time Lords, again, as you can see, I've won every single match that I had against those. So I was very surprised. And again, there's that attack directly deck where you equip everything to a monster and hopefully you get in and do enough damage. But yeah, I mean, with having a kaiju, having the way that I can grind with the Adamancipators, it's a fun idea, but it just isn't the best. Okay, another True Draco build. Again, only one loss so far, everybody, to True Draco. Okay, and then there's Virtual World. You know, it's a really solid deck, but again, I'm winning more than I'm losing, which tells me that I'm on to something with the build that I have. And guys, I really think that I've given you a proper snapshot of the meta. Everything that you're seeing here. Oh, and if I were to do another tier list, the 5th best deck I would say would be the Red Dragon Archfiend build. I think that was very good for sure. I think that put in some good work. Yeah, and there's Speedroids again. Notice the fact that I ended up doing as well as I did with it honestly surprised me. I was anticipating that the decks that you're looking at would have absolutely dominated me, Junk Synchron or even the Speedroids. But man, once you get going with the Adamancipators, they're a lot better in this format than I was thinking. Virtual World was also really good in this format. I think it did a really nice job. Like I said, I'd place it number 3. Just because I think once you get the proper board in place, it does work out well. And speaking of Virtual World, Crossout Designator came up a lot in those decks that or in those matches I lost, where they had the Primal Being in their deck as well, but that was their way to deal with it. Oh my goodness, guys. Again, I'm pretty sure I have one loss to True Draco for the entire format. And so, again, another Psy-Frame deck where people are trying to interact with it. So, yeah, guys, I feel great with how it went, and I'd be curious what you guys think. So, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you'd also love to follow the channel, we'd appreciate that too. If you ever want to catch what we're doing live, we'd also love to have you guys be a part of our Twitch community. Hey, thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Run, Isaac! Run! Go, Isaac, go! Run! You gotta beat! Run, Isaac! Run!
Oh, Eli won. He got across the finish line.
Who won? What? That's rigged like the election.
How did you get past the finish line?
You're right there, Sandy. You're there.